be talking a lot of Pac-12. Starting with USC lost to Notre Dame.
Holy moly. And it wasn't just because of the defense. I mean, the defense played okay. They still gave up a lot of plays they probably shouldn't have. But that was just a total ass whooping.
Yes.
Like all around.
Mm-hmm.
Special teams, offensively, defensively, they tore their ass up all night. Caleb Williams looked trash. I mean, essentially, just a turnover machine.
He is not
and
getting the Heisman.
This is not the first time we've seen him do that either. It's not just that he has a loss now, right? You can survive a loss, maybe even two if you're that dominant.
Sure.
But to be the reason why you lose, to be the reason why an undermanned Colorado team was able to get back within a score of you when you were up almost 30 points, to be the reason why y'all in a dogfight with Arizona. Nah, miss me. And I always knew it was going to come down to that with Caleb Williams because outside of that, there was really nothing stopping him. Right? Yeah. Like, I mean, the numbers are gaudy. The wide receivers are plentiful. And the offensive mindset over there is go, baby, go. So it was storybook written for a Heisman run. The only thing that could mess him up is losing games and then losing games because of him.
Yeah.
And he's done both.
Absolutely.
He's done both.
I'm extremely happy for Marcus Freeman because after losing to Louisville and the way that they lost to Ohio State.
I mean, we can feel good for Marcus Freeman, but also realize that that's kind of like him as a coach in a microcosm, like good enough to beat good teams, but also not disciplined enough to lose two bad teams.
That's fair.
Right? Like we're good enough to beat USC and Ohio State, but we're also bad enough to lose to Louisville the week after we just beat
Duke.
Was it Duke? So, we can beat good teams. We can. We don't always do it because of coaching gaffes and late game debacles. It's just that's kind of who he is as a head coach right now.
But would you say that he's on the hot seat?
Oh, no.
So then,
especially not after beating the top 5 team or whatever they were, top 10 team.
Top 10. So not on the hot seat, which is a good thing, but obviously some things to overcome. You overcome them, you'll be in a better position.
I think if Marcus Freeman can have some fortuity, some I'm not trying to disrespect the man, but some nuts in these high pressure situations and kind of be the steadying factor of his team. That's kind of maybe his evolution. That's his next point, right?
Sure.
Is because a lot of times when I'm seeing Marcus Freeman, when the cameras are cutting to him at least, he's cussing people out. And I don't know if that's necessarily the galvanizer he thinks it is or would even want it to be. If you're not that guy, don't be that guy. I would much rather you be the cool, calm, collected person. Number one, I know that you have your wits about you and you're paying attention. And we're not going to walk head first into another mistake. And then number two, that puts the rest of the guys at ease. Like, there aren't too many guys who do hard ass well. There just aren't. There's Saban, Kirby, kinda.
And Saban is the literal devil, so it's easy for him.
Yeah, there's only a few guys that can get away with that. And I don't know if Marcus Freeman is one of them. First of all, I don't think you have the cachet to be one of them right now. These guys will not listen to you. And if you need more from your staff, one way to not get it is to come down to your staff like they wanted the players.
From one person who may have lost Heisman hopes to a person who may have gained in their Heisman hopes.
JJ?
No. Washington beat Oregon. And Penix might be looking at the Heisman.
Yeah, another one of these games where it just seemed like both teams wanted to hand the other team a gift.
Yes.
Is that the spirit of the Apple Cup? We just, oh no, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. You take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. You take it.
Yes. Yep.
Like they were literally just fighting over who wanted to lose that game worse at the end of it. It was just kind of embarrassing.
Amazing how that always takes place with top 10 teams, like FSU versus Clemson.
especially Pac-12 teams with zero defense. I thought Oregon was changing the tide of that out there, but no, they secondary just as vulnerable, just as easy to be had. Like you can tell me that Washington is automatic and that they are unstoppable on offense, and I hear some of that. I really do. They look pretty good, and obviously they won the game. Michael Penix had a huge game. I don't know if Washington's offense is as unstoppable as it is. It just hasn't been stopped, right? Like if I look at quick look here, Boise State started out with a whopper versus Boise State, 56 points. But again, is anybody confident that Boise State had a pulse on defense to stop Washington that day? We move on to a game against Tulsa the very next week, 43-10. Same story. We already know what Michigan State's secondary is and has been for the last several years, 41-7 there. Game against Cal, 59-32. That is an interesting one. I will take a note of Cal and see what their total defense is looking like, their passing defense as well. Arizona, we saw what their pass defense was against USC. Oregon, this week was the first time that they played a defense that we knew was at least capable of standing up to an offense similar to Washington's. We watched them do it against Colorado, So while I would say that it was impressive, it was much more tameable or much more. I think we would be able to handle that, right? Like either one of our teams would be able to handle 36 points. And that's 36 points on Oregon. So ideally, that probably comes down into the 24 to 28 range for an elite defense, top 5 scoring defense in the country.
For sure.
That's kind of where I'm at with Washington and their offense. Right? If Oregon and maybe Cal are the two best secondaries that you faced all year, then similarly to how everybody wants to talk about how Michigan hasn't played a soul, then I'm going to say that Michael Penix hasn't thrown it down versus an elite secondary all season.
That's fair.
Is that fair?
I think that's very fair.
Fair. Now, I love Michael Penix, and he is one of my top picks right now for the Heisman race. I just, let's finish the season. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what it looks like against Utah. Do they play USC?
I believe so. Yes, they play them November 4th.
So we left on the schedule there for Washington. We got Arizona State, Stanford, USC, Utah, Oregon State, Washington State. That is a murderer's row. That's a murderer's row. Because even the Washington State game, they should have Ward back for that game by then. That's going to be a tough out.
And that's a rivalry game.
They don't have a breather after Stanford.
Yep.
They're at USC. They're home against Utah. At Oregon State. Home against Washington State. We'll see what they're made of there.
Yeah, things look things look a little weird for the top of the pack now because USC has a loss, but it's not against a Pac team. And then Oregon has a loss. Utah has a loss. Oregon State has a loss. So I don't know. I feel like it's a little weird now. So we're going to have to see somebody obviously separate at some point. Colorado lost to Stanford after having a 29-0 lead at halftime. Yikes. What happened?
Bam. So I saw that game. Was going to sit down and watch it with you. Let's watch Colorado play. They got up 29-0. I turned it off. We watched Gen V and we watched Loki. I woke up the next morning and I'm watching a Big News. I'm like, no, they didn't. Well, I was watching that game. They must have put that wrong. They must have got the data wrong when they did the little tracker. No. They got absolutely. I mean, homeboy did the Roman Wilson catch on Travis Hunter head, only he landed and kept running into the end zone.
Yep.
Oh, that was ugly. That was really ugly. I know he tore their ass up on Saturday. I know he tore them apart.
You better have. And then that's a terrible game for Travis Hunter to come back to and get absolutely scorched.
Smoke. Smoke.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I expected some games like this from Colorado, so it's not very surprising to me. But the fact that they've, kind of afforded themselves these four early victories, two of which nobody really gave them a chance to win against Nebraska and TCU. I mean, Prime has to win two more games to make a bowl game. He's got to win two, which is doable. Is doable. Now, I didn't account for them not beating Stanford in the preseason. I definitely had them beating Stanford in the preseason, so that worries me a little bit for their bowl eligibility. But
the rest of their schedule should too.
What's that?
The rest of their schedule should too, especially if they lost to Stanford. The rest of their schedule is UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, Utah. They can get a win or two, but it's going to be very tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, they have no more easy outs for sure. I don't think they've had an easy out all season.
Yeah.
Colorado State was their easy out, and that went to triple overtime.
And Stanford went to double overtime. Any other thoughts on anything that's happened around the country?
Ooh, let's see. Who else lost that I want to make fun of? Miami, back-to-back weeks. Taking a big loser L to North Carolina after it looked like they might, put up a fight and actually do something in the first half. Losers. Yeah. Is this how you do to you? Is this how you do it?
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
I think they extend their fingers more, but yeah, that's how you do it.
Nope, right here.
It's more like a, but
This is the face of a Miami Hurricane.
Yo, yikes.
Go Kings. UCLA and Dante Moore lost again. Fortunately, just can't stop throwing them damn interceptions, huh, Dante? Must be all the NIL money in your hands.